before we get started, so Cube Fit Perform is still going on. So our exercise of the day is the squat. So if you want to learn more about the squat, how to do it correctly, common compensations, all of that fun stuff, you can scan that QR code right there. You'll earn points at the end of class by answering the question of the day. So I will make sure to give that to you at the end. And then there's also an option to complete a form check for this challenge to get 10 extra points. So that's just a one-on-one meeting where we look at your form in the camera and see if we can make any adjustments. So we'll stop presenting and we will get into our 10-minute balance break. Thanks for coming on, guys. I am subbing for Kimber today, so she'll be back next week, but my name's Jenny. And today, I'm gonna give you an option for the very first exercise or mobilization exercise to either sit in your chair or stand up out of your chair. So two options. I'm going to give you the standing option first because I feel like most of you might pick that option. So we're just going to mobilize the ankles to start us out today. So we're going to take 1 foot at a time and just draw a big circle with the heel. So we're coming all the way up on the toes, really rolling out the ankle here. In all of our balance exercises, the ankles are where it starts from. That's really where we get the balance in those tiny, tiny little ankle muscles. So we need to really mobilize those to make sure they're working as best as they can. Now, if you'd like the seated option, you can pick up one leg and you're going to hold your ankle in place and then use your other hand to just draw a circle with the toe. So this one's a little bit more hands-on. So if you'd like that option, you can take it as well or stay standing. This one, you're able to kind of anchor that foot in place as you roll the ankle out. Both options are great. This one, you kind of get a nice stretch in the hip as well. Give me a couple more on this foot and then we'll switch sides. Perfect. When you're ready, we'll go ahead and switch. So either take that seated option or take it to standing, same thing. So if you're sitting down, we're just anchoring that ankle in place and then rolling out the foot. Then back to that standing option. Again, draw in circles with the heel. Throughout class today, we can use our chair for support if we need it. If you'd like to get rid of it and challenge your balance even more throughout class, you definitely can. It's always an option, but at the end of class, we will do a balance challenge without our chair. So we can look forward to that. All right, go ahead and shake it out. Next up, we're going to do a nice stretch for the calves. So I want you to hold on to the back of your chair if you need it. You're going to drive one leg back. I want you to give me a nice wide stance here. So one leg's coming all the way back behind you. And we're going to drive that heel into the floor as best as you can. And you can kind of use that chair for support here. Allow that front leg to bend as much as you need. The further you take that leg back, the tougher that stretch is going to be. So we want to feel that stretch. We don't want any pain. So if you're feeling pain, go ahead and take that foot closer to your chair. Taking nice deep breaths here. Good. Try to keep that back leg straight. Actively driving that heel into the floor. Up next, we're going to do a stretch for the Achilles, which is that tiny little tendon in the back of your foot. So I want you to bring your foot in closer to where you can actually get your heel on the floor. And once you find that spot, it may be closer, it may be a little bit further out, but your heel needs to be planted on the floor here. And then you're just going to bend and extend that back leg. And you'll notice on that bend, you'll feel that nice stretch in the Achilles. It's a tiny, tiny little area that we're trying to focus on here. Again, using that chair for support. Good. Exhaling as you straighten out that leg. Very good. Keep that heel grounded. Let's do 2 more on this side and then we'll switch legs. Perfect. And we'll go back to that calf stretch. So shake it out if you need to. And then that other leg's gonna go all the way back into that deep lunge position like we were on that other side. So taking that leg as far back as you can, driving the heel into the floor. It might not touch the floor and that's okay. We're just trying to get a nice deep stretch in that calf. And try to keep a nice flat back here. We're not rounding. Keeping the chest open, the shoulders rounded back and down. Always trying to keep good posture. Very good. One more cycle of breath here in through the nose. And as you exhale, we're going to bring that foot closer in. Heel is on the floor here, so find that spot wherever you need that foot. And then bending the back leg and extending. Nice and slow and controlled. Focusing on that Achilles. Couple more. Awesome. Last one right here. Bending and extending and shake it out. Awesome job. We are going to get rid of that chair for a second. Always have it close to you just in case you need it. But we're going to do some standing kickbacks to really activate those glutes before we go into our balance challenge. So for these kickbacks, it's really important that we keep a neutral pelvis position. So I want you to tuck the tailbone under. I want you to activate the core. And we're going to keep that positioning as we shift our weight into one leg. And then that leg that we're not having on our weight, I don't know how to say that, we're going to kick that leg back behind us. And it's not a huge kick. We're not going crazy with it. We got to keep that neutral pelvis. So it's a very small kick. And you should notice that glute is immediately active as you start to bring that leg back behind you. That's when you know you're doing it correctly. So squeeze the core, make this slow and controlled. And lifting that foot behind you in the back. Grabbing onto that chair just if you need it. Let's do 2 more reps. And very good. We'll switch sides. Shake it out. Same thing. So shift your weight to the other side. Roll the hips under. Brace the core. Keeping that position. Lift that leg back behind you. Good. You'll notice that ankle is already working. Trying to keep that balance for us. Good. 2 more reps here. Big squeeze in the back. And let it go. Very good. Shake it out. Up next, it's time for our balance challenge. So I'm going to give you many options here and progressions. So we're going to start with whatever leg you want to start with. But again, you're going to shift your weight to one side. Now it's important that we don't sit in our hips. So stay on top of it. Keep those glutes active. And you're lifting that opposite foot off the floor. Arms can do whatever you need them to do. Sometimes it's best to have them out by your side, close to the body, whatever works best for you. Just slightly lifting that foot off the floor is going to be option 1. Option 2 is to lift it a little bit further.
Now, option 3 is to take it to a 90-degree angle. So we're coming up all the way to the height of our hip. Okay, that knee is in line with the hip. Holding here, focusing on a spot on the floor. Ooh, helps to have that chair close by just in case, or be close to a wall. And if you're ready for it, we can add some movement. So you're nice and slowly gonna open that knee out to the side and then control it back to that starting position. If you're taking level 1 or level 2, just hold it. No need to add in movement. You'll get here eventually. Keep that core tight. We'll do one more rep. And nice and slowly bring that foot back to the ground. Shake it out. Awesome job. We'll switch sides. Same thing, shifting that weight over. Toes are facing forward. Level 1, just lift that foot off the floor, hold. Level 2, lift it a little bit higher. See how that feels. And level 3, if you can, pick it up to 90 degrees. Very good. Holding here before we add any movement. Try to focus on balance. And then nice and slowly start to bring that leg out to the side. And back to center. Find a spot on the floor to focus on. Good. 2 more reps. If you're holding, keep holding. And last one. Very good. Go ahead and release it. Shake it out. Awesome work, you guys. That was a great challenge today. Let me go ahead and pull up our poll question. And it will be about that squat. So go ahead and picture a squat in your head. And I'm launching that question now. So you should see it pop up on your screen. If you don't, sometimes you have to go to the chat to see it. But to prepare for a squat, you should grip the ground with your feet, squeeze your glutes, brace your core, and pack your shoulder. Now, I said a lot of those cues during class. So think to yourself, would that be a good cue for a squat? True or false? And once you answer that, feel free to hop off. If you have any questions, be happy to answer those for you. But thanks so much for joining. Hope you'll have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks,
Jenny.
guys.
Thanks, Jenny.
Bye.
Thank you.
I had to
Thanks.
read that question carefully to make sure you didn't throw anything weird in there.
I know, right?
Make sure to grip the ground with your feet, arch your back as much as you can, and pack your shoulders.
She's
I love
bad.
it. Glad you read it carefully. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
There have been some tricky ones.
I know.
So in a squat, whenever your legs are, whenever your thighs are parallel and such, where should you feel I reckon the exercise or the pain or the nerves, or what muscles are you using in a squat? Because
Okay. Great question. Depending on where you put your feet, so the wider your stance is in a squat, you're going to feel it more in the back of the legs. The closer your feet are together, you're going to start to feel it more in the front of the legs. So if you kind of take that neutral, just hip width apart, you're going to feel it pretty much everywhere. So first thing is you're going to start to feel it in your glutes. You're doing it correctly because you're shifting your weight back and you're using those glutes to control you on the way down. And then to press you back up, you're going to use a little bit of those quads, still activating those glutes to bring you back to standing. And then the top of the squat is really where you get most of that glute activation. So, I mean, really everywhere in the legs.
it seems like mine rolls over to the knees, to the front part of the knees type of
Okay.
deal. And it makes me think that almost like you got weak knees or something when you start feeling it out there.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what exercise other than just doing more squats, what would help with that, making that feeling go away essentially?
Watch yourself in the mirror and make sure that your knees aren't caving in because that could be causing pain right there.
Okay.
And then work on glute bridges. So when you're on your back here, driving through your heels, work on those because that'll make sure that you're you know how to activate those glutes because that's what we're looking to do in that squat. And then when you're here, make sure that your knees are still on top of the ankles. They're not in or out. So it's just watching that knee placement. And then if you're still experiencing pain in the knees, I mean, it could just be tightness, stretching a little bit more, the calves, just all of that. I mean, the hamstring sometimes pulls on it, the quads can, so like foam rolling those areas can be helpful for the knee, but the knee is it's a tough one. So
Yeah,
there's lots of things that it could be, but try those first couple
I
options and
I was
see.
thinking the glutes don't really, once you're down to the parallel,
Mhm.
I was thinking that the glutes probably aren't firing as much.
They should
Yeah.
be. Yeah, work on mind muscle connection because the entire squat, I try to think about pinching my butt cheeks together and it makes a huge difference. Because it
Okay.
takes that pressure off the lower back, which is
Right.
what we really want in that squat. So,
Okay,
yeah, great question.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.